Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It's time to have a look at some Enlisted news and what has been going on over the last period of time. The reason we're covering this is because I think it's interesting to look at all of the elements of what has happened over the last few months with Enlisted, and also to kind of just give an update on what's going on. First of all, Enlisted has been doing a bunch of different updates. They added the Pershing to the game, the Hori, and a bunch of other weapons. They obviously brought in the new system of kind of research and stuff, which is pretty cool. And they've done a lot of positive changes that, people will generally enjoy. There's also been some negative ones along the way. For me, I am looking to get back into the game next week. Gonna give it a bit of a go and see what's happening. But right now, I've been following the news and seeing kind of a bit of a catastrophe, if we're honest. So, in January, they announced that Enlisted was going to come to Steam. The idea was it was going to be the same product, but kind of packaged slightly differently. So therefore, it's designed for the Steam market, and also it's designed for the handheld Steam stuff as well, right? So you could play it on the go and also play it through Steam, which for some reason, I don't know why, but has been a big thing for a lot of people. Probably because of the market stuff. A lot of CCs have talked about the idea of, well, when Enlisted comes to Steam, it'll be this big thing because everything needs to go through Steam nowadays. Even though a lot of games don't, and they already do really well. So they announced in January, Enlisted's going to come through Steam. Really cool, bigger player base technically, more eyes on the thing, which is great. Then they had this, which was on the 19th of March. This was talking about they're going to release it on early access on Steam as Enlisted Reinforced. This is where the problem started, okay? Right, messaging is crazy important when it comes to the decisions that you make. Doesn't matter what development decisions you make, what marketing decisions you make, if the messaging is poor and unfortunately is brought into different context from what it's supposed to be. Now, I'll phrase it like this, okay? I'm going to give you two statements, and they basically mean the same thing. Number one, Enlisted Reinforced is coming out on Steam. It's going to be in early access. You will have to purchase a pack to get access to it. The reason to do this is so we can fund development for it through Steam and other ideas, and also to get an idea of how many people are interested in it from a purchasable point of view, right? So that's number one. Number two, Enlisted is a free-to-play game that you will have to pay for on Steam to get access to it. Right? So those are two statements. Oh, I don't know why I've done that. There you go. Two statements which mean the same thing, right? But the way that they're packaged is completely differently and creates a completely different visceral response. And that was what has happened over like the last few weeks. So Enlisted Reinforced got fully announced. What they were going to do is they were going to have it on Steam. You can see Steam and Steam Deck. That's the thing I forgot about earlier. And the idea was, okay, we're going to have a special version of it, and we're gonna get you to buy special packs to, help it out. So we're going to have different levels of packs. You can pick them up to support it and also get access to the game. Really cool, right? Like the idea was you could support it, and then also at the same time you could still play it for free through the launcher. So you either you play for free through the launcher, and then also you can technically buy these packs through the launcher, or you can get it on Steam in an early access setting where you'd have to pay to get access to it, and then later on it would be a free-to-play once they have sorted out all the development of it. That was the idea, right? So from the outset, that's not terrible, That's pretty much like standard CBT nowadays, where a lot of people pay for products to get access to them. The problem was, once again, the messaging, and also just not reading the room at all. When you already have a free-to-play product, which is available for everybody, if you offer that exact same product in another place, which is what Enlisted Reinforced is, on Steam, it's exactly the same as the standard Enlisted. You even supposedly were going to have, a copy of both each, so your account would copy over to Enlisted Reinforced, and then you could just play, all of your stuff from Enlisted in it. If you have that, and then you go, hey, so if you want access to this version of the game, which is exactly the same as that other version, by the way, you're going to have to pay for it. It's an awful idea. It's terrible because like everybody's gonna go, why? What? This is supposed to be a free-to-play game. Why are you getting me to buy stuff for it? Yeah? So the messaging was just off. It was massively off. I think instead what they should have done is let it be free to play on Steam, but then also have these additional packs to unlock additional content to support the game. That's pretty much how free to plays work, right? But instead they just went for a straight paid model on Steam, and guess what? A lot of people weren't happy with this. So then, it got released on Steam. The page is actually still up, you can still see it, but it isn't available for purchase anymore, and, you know, you can't get into it. If you already bought it yesterday, which is when it came out, then you got access to it, but they removed it from Steam, which will go into their reasonings and everything like that in a little bit. But you can see here from the reviews, it was mixed, and it actually started off mostly negative, and this is something that's happening with a lot of games recently. Happened with Dragon's Dogma 2, happened with obviously Overwatch 2. It seems like these games get like review bombed pretty quick when they first came out, and then it kind of like changes over time. So the initial visceral reaction of this was mostly negative, now it's mixed, and then it got pulled because there was a bunch of features that once again just didn't work. They had a bunch of different packs. You had like a basic pack you could buy, then an advanced pack, and once again the pricing is just all over the place, and Enlisted's pricing has just been awful since day one. And I don't know why it's so bad, but everything is just crazy expensive, apart from the premium time, which goes on sale a decent amount, but everything else was just insanely priced compared to it. And I think the idea they were thinking of was everything can technically grind out everything else in that campaign and nowadays in that nation, so therefore, you know, it's okay to have those high prices on. But of course people aren't going to be happy with that because they go, why am I paying so much money for this one thing? So yeah, not great. And then, you know, you had the paid product, which was this one. You know, the idea was to get into some funds so they could develop the Steam product and also the Steam Deck product, and a lot of people bought it to start with basically just to leave negative reviews, which is quite funny. There was even some CCs which got codes for free, which also ended up basically leaving reviews which are hilarious. So once again, just picking just some fantastic people as usual. So yeah, it's didn't exactly have a great first day. There wasn't, I think it maxed out at maybe 220, 250 players before it was pulled, but there was a lot of people who wishlisted it, a lot of people that was looking forward to it, but at the end of the day, you are asking people to pay for a product which they can get for free in another place. As I said, this is just not going to work for people, right, in their heads. It's just, you're never going to be able to get it past. And one of the problems that Enlisted has had since day one, and I used to bring it up a lot when they did their dev blogs and also changelogs and stuff like that, what you would have is this problem where a dev blog would come out, it would say something about like a mechanic, or it would say something about like how something was going to work, and then you would have one of the Gaijin helpers, so something like a community manager or a helper, who would just say something which was the direct opposite of what was going on. This happened with Stalingrad, this happened with the general campaigns and how they were going to be mixed and how the premium squads were going to work. This happened with a bunch of the different guns and how, you know, they weren't supposed to be copied over from each of the campaigns. There was all of these different things that went on, and the messaging was just all over the place. It was like getting hit by a bat, where one side you have a person saying this, and then you have on one side a person saying this, and then that changes within a few days. There's a bunch of apologies that come out, and then a bunch of other people just say other stuff again. It was impossible to follow, which is why actually following Enlisted and comparing it to War Thunder is night and day. And it's why I have such a large respect for the community managers who are mainly running War Thunder nowadays. Like, some of them do make some weird skew-whiff decisions when it comes to certain things, but my god, if you want to see like how other like games deal with this stuff, you need to just go out there and have a look. Have a look at the Helldivers 2 controversy that happened, where like, you know, a bunch of devs were just basically going after community managers, sorry, not community managers, but members, saying like get good and stuff like that. Have a look at some of the Enlisted issues that's happened. It's just so night and day. So it came out. It had a lot of issues, mainly with linking the accounts between the Steam account and the standard account, which has been a problem that War Thunder has had in the past, like linking of the Gaijin account and the Steam account for these games. At the same time, it had a problem with the packs. Some of the packs weren't available that you could purchase, and there was just a bunch of stuff. So they removed it, and then guess what? They brought in the sad AI cat face to make you feel bad for them. So, sad AI cat has been deployed. It's now on the battlefield. It's going to storm the beaches on D-Day, just to make sure that you feel bad for the people who tried to get you to pay money for a free-to-play product. So it says suspending early access on Steam. This was on the day of it being available. Dear players, we see that many of you are very dissatisfied with the early access version that we made available on Steam. Some of you are not happy that the game is bundled with a paid DLC on Steam. Some of you couldn't link your existing Gaijin.net accounts to the Steam version due to technical issues. We're deeply sorry for this, which is fair, you know, and the problem is these things were talked about for weeks before the launch of it, and how there was many people who were dissatisfied already with the idea that you had to buy it instead of just getting it for free and then buying some DLC. But yeah, it just wasn't a good look, and they just fumbled the bag, I think is the way to put it. They've removed the early access version of Enlisted Reinforced from the Steam store for now, so they are going to bring it back, just to let you know. All users who purchase a Steam pack for Enlisted Reinforced will be able to continue playing via Steam. Meanwhile, we'll do our best to assess what we can do to address the issues raised by you. By the way, one of the hilarious things about a lot of the Steam access packs, it was like $30 for me, by the way, to get access to the game. So, you know, nearly as much as like full-on games just to get one pack in a game. Really cool. But yeah, a bunch of the like higher-end advanced packs didn't work. And then also, it was repackaged content. So the squads themselves that they actually brought in, there was an M3 submachine gun squad, which has already existed. This one just had access to an engineer, so it's just a better version than the older squad. And then they also brought back an MG3 squad, I believe, or an MG13 squad, and then another one on top of that with the Beretta, which once again is just reused content where all they've done is repackaged it into a new squad with slightly different colors and an engineer. So if you are an old veteran player, you've already had access to these things, you've already played them. It's just they are selling better versions later down the line through, you know, kind of pre-orders for Steam. Or bundles for Steam access, I should say. So yeah, once again, not a very good look at the end of the day. Unfortunately, there's a significant technical obstacle preventing us from making the linking process smooth enough. It occurs if a player already linked their Steam account in another Gaijin game, but the email used there and then the one used for Enlisted do not match. This completely breaks our linking procedure, which is fair. So if you are a person who has played War Thunder, or Cuisine Royale, or Crusade Forward, or any of the other games, you're just kind of done, aren't you? Like, it's very hard to deal with. Now, one of the interesting things about the Gaijin Terms of Service, as I will bring up every time, is it says the user shall not create multiple accounts. But that doesn't seem to matter when it comes to these types of decisions. This is in the Terms of Service of the Gaijin.net setup, so whatever. Like it's been there forever and never been enforced, so it is how it is. So you have multiple people, you have many people who have multiple accounts for different games through the Gaijin service when they're not supposed to. They're supposed to run it through all the same service. So this issue should actually be solved by people following the rules, but it doesn't matter because people continue to do it anyway. The existing Steam version was never intended to be available to a massive number of players. Hence the early access status. So making it available to existing huge audience of Enlisted fans could probably lead to even more dissatisfaction, as more people would face these technical issues or new ones. So okay, that's the key sentence. Okay? Now, we were talking about this last week. We were wondering, like, why would you need to, like, buy a pack to get access to this product? Like, why are they doing this? And it is straight up like the barrier of entry. So they've taken, as I said, pre-existing content, and then they've bundled it into other things, into new squads. And the idea is to increase the barrier of entry, so when the game releases, even if it releases as a free-to-play, you don't get a mass amount of negative reviews straight away because of the DLCs. If you don't believe me, like when this stuff happens, just have a look at the Overwatch 2 Steam page and how that released as free to play, and it become the most negatively reviewed game within like a few days, because that community is pretty angry. So if you have like a very angry set of people who are playing your game, legitimate reasons there as well, like when it comes to what's been going on with it, then what ends up happening is you get review bombed, and then you lose all of the fact that you can't be seen on the Steam pages, and you just disappear from existence. And that's exactly what they were worried about going on here, which is why they say a sentence like this, where if you don't think about that, it makes no sense, right? Also said, we'd like to apologize for, once again, for letting down both our existing players and those who wishlisted the game on Steam. Please follow us for the news on our website while we continue exploring our Steam options, looking for a solution for a linking issue and polishing all aspects of the game. Basically, like, you just have to make it free to play on Steam. Try and enforce the actual multiple account rule, and just say, well, sorry, boss. Looks like we can't do anything about that. And then also, at the same time, don't be afraid of community backlash. Stop trying to silence people. Let them talk and try and work out what the issues are, or realize that it can't be done. Or get a set of people who can actually filter that effectively so you can, make positive decisions. Talking about the people who filter stuff for the devs and also the team to work out. So this was one of the developers who isn't a developer. He's a community manager. I'm bored of them having the developer tag. They're not developers. You can still play via the launcher without purchasing any packs. On the other hand, to access the Steam version during the EA period, you'll have to buy one of the packs. So this was a terrible statement to make, because it outlines the whole problem with the thing, and this was used to go after pretty much the whole, setup. Because this right here is the issue. You can play it for free over here, but if you want to play it over here, you're going to have to buy something. Free-to-play games can't work like that. Because what ends up happening is all the people who want to just play it for free and also do play it for free, they'll go over to the paid version and type on it and go, why are you buying this? You can just go over here. Why are they selling this? This is ridiculous. And they get annoyed by it. This is what happened with Enlisted Reinforced. And I don't know why nobody, especially with a company like Gaijin, right, who has so many people working for it now, so many people in different departments, so many decision makers and things like that. I don't understand why this wasn't seen, because it's something I brought up 3 months ago at this point when it came to this, when they started this process and what was going to become an issue. I just don't get it, man. I don't get whoever is making these decisions when it comes to Enlisted just needs to sit down and just have a think, right? Just have a think what they're actually doing and how things are perceived, okay? And you don't have to do it on like a stream. You don't have to do it in public. Just sit down and think, okay? If we have a product over here that is free and we have a product over here that is paid, even if it's early access and eventually going to be free to play in the future, how do you think people are going to take that, right? Because they're never going to take it well. Even if you're doing it for reasons to try and like build the player base, and from that point of view, and like try and build the player base and make sure that you don't like explode the stuff or highly negative reviews. There's other ways of doing this. You could do it through a code system, where you could put codes in places so only those people get access to it. You could do a soft launch where, once again, there are betas on Steam, so you could just give it access to so many different people. They can give it a go, and then you could advertise, give those codes out to different like creators or like streamers or companies, and just say, hey, just give these out to people. They can get beta access to the game, because Steam has a beta feature, by the way. I've been using it quite a lot with different games, and then just do it like that instead of whatever the hell this was. So yeah, that right there in broad daylight, this up here is the problem outlined. And then you had another community manager who is not a developer. I don't think GeForce is a developer. If he is, then fair enough, but he's an old community manager that's been involved in War Thunder for many years from the Russian side of things. He's been on the Enlisted side of things since its launch. One of the problems that GeForce has is that he is not a native English speaker, and also he has problems when it comes to translating stuff to English. And this has caused a ton of issues in the past with kind of crossed wires when it comes to everything that's going on. Even to a point where I would offer to pay for English lessons for somebody like GeForce to make sure that they can, get this stuff sorted out. But he says, I want to say a few words. Regardless of the reviews on Steam, the community management team will continue to work the same way we have been doing for 3 years. Broken clocks usually need to be fixed. That's all I'm going to say. They might be right twice a day, but it's usually better to make sure they work. We'll gather your feedback, and now also play feedback on Steam, run promotions and entertainment events, and strive to make our game better. Yes, some of you reading this may not like the practice of testing, where the game is available for free in one place and requires a purchase in another to participate. But remember one thing. When a player leaves a negative review about testing on Steam, they're reviewing the game Enlisted, not the testing process. And we cannot get feedback from it that will help us improve the game. You do not get to decide why people are leaving negative reviews. You do not get to decide what people are thinking or why they're making the choices they are. You are not an arbiter of other people. You are a curator of their opinions and pushing them forward, right? That has to be said. The reason why people are leaving reviews in many of the different areas are for multiple different reasons and, multiple different ideas, because they're individuals with their own thoughts. Some thoughts are collective and they do get spread around quite a lot, and it's usually the job of community managers to work out which ones are good, which ones are bad. But the one thing you do not do as a community manager is try and force specific opinions down people's throats. Because that's when you get heavy backlash, and that's when you get people who come at you, because they'll have a visceral, aggressive response about it, which is something that's happened a lot when it comes to Enlisted. And guess where the root is. By the way, I'll not install Enlisted Steam. I'll click on plus in my library and simply add the icon of the client version of the game to it. Because for me, a player who has been playing Enlisted for 3 years, moving to Steam will not bring anything new. I thought the packs were unique. I thought they were different. I thought they were new. I thought they were something to kind of bring along and, get access to. Do you not want to test, the Steam version? Isn't that why we're here? As part of the team, do you not feel like it is your choice or, your prerogative to make sure that things work? Is that not part of your job? No? Fair enough. All right then, whatever. Moving on, we have another community manager who decided, you know what, there hasn't been enough petrol on the fire, right? Sometimes you have a really nice bonfire. Maybe it's Guy Fawkes night, Remember the 5th of November? Fantastic time of the year. Fireworks, good old fires everywhere, band playing, alcohol everywhere. And, some people just come along and go, I got this petrol can. Let's just chuck it on the fire. So that's what this guy did. So while this was all going on, for some reason, he decided to talk about loot boxes. One of the things in video games right now, which is highly contested and also incredibly negative. So what ended up happening is people were asking about, well, since they're selling these like old squads as kind of repackaged stuff for Enlisted Reinforced, when are they going to bring back like old event squads? Because, we haven't seen those for a while. So, of course, what he said is we plan to do it in the future with some loot boxes where you can get an old event squad. Oh, so just RNG rubbish. That's taking over the gaming industry because gambling is a huge thing right now and people have no morals. Right, so while we have all the controversy with Enlisted, we're just going to add more fuel to the fire at the same time. All right, well done, guys. That's what we like. Well done. Well done for managing the situation well. And, it's okay, though, because guess what? We have the sad cat picture, so everybody's okay. Everybody's good. It's going to function the same as it has done for 3 years. It's going to continue to sad cat picture. You're all good. Everybody's fine. All right, we're all fine. And then on top of that, so we just have a bunch of statements all over the place, and then another one comes up from a community helper trying to clarify the loot box decision. Fantastic. Please note that it's a preliminary idea and you misunderstood it. Oh, thanks. So this preliminary idea, which isn't set in stone, for some reason, this team is just giving out, right? It's just giving out to everybody when it shouldn't even be a conversation in the public. And at the same time, it can be changed. Oh, and by the way, you misunderstood it. These guys, man. These guys. I wonder what their bloody experience is. In this example, it's an event. At the end of this event, you get a box with a random prize from the previous events. It's not something you purchase with silver. Right, so it's still a loot box, and it's still a loot crate, and it gives you a random chance of getting something in the past. So it's still the problem. You can't grind it out normally. Thanks, though. Thanks for saying that I misunderstood it, and thanks for saying that everybody else misunderstood it. That's what's needed right now. When you have a fact, where you have this whole string of events where they have launched, the Enlisted stuff, and, it hasn't gone very well, what you need is community managers and helpers to come out and say, sorry guys, you're just wrong. You're not understanding it, right? You're not understanding it. You're reviewing it for the wrong reasons. You're not putting in the right feedback. Sorry guys, you're just not doing it. And then also, you're just misunderstanding everything. Come on, man. Like, Enlisted itself as a game is such a good premise. And I enjoyed it for 2 years straight. I haven't played it for a few months now because I needed a break. Because of the fact that they kept pumping out events over and over again. And at the same time, the matchmaking became very stale because everybody was just playing specific campaigns to get the highest equipment because of the fact that they knew that the system was coming in. The new research system. And it got very boring to just play the same stuff over again, because if you played anything else, you just got shot in the head over and over again. It wasn't fun, okay? Now, I wanted to give Enlisted a grace period of this area, just a few months, and then get back into it, right? Because I think it's important to actually, play the game, and because I do really like the squad mechanic. I do really like a lot of stuff about it. The actual modeling of stuff's very good. But Jesus, can we please just get sorted on the messaging? Please. Because I've had to read all of these things for multiple years. And it's just not getting better, man. The game itself is improving. Apart from some of the balance decisions and the vehicle additions, it's improving, and it's fantastic. But goddamn, please, just have a think when it comes to dealing with this stuff. Just have a think how your messaging is coming across. I don't know whether you need somebody who's above these people to okay some of these statements or move them around, or you just need to just shut up for a day, right? It's amazing what can be fixed within a day. If you just relax and don't say anything and then come up with stuff that you're going to do together. And for some reason, Enlisted just doesn't have that. It just feels like it's scrambling all the time. The main thing is Enlisted will come to Steam. It will come later on. They'll probably change it up. They'll probably restart it again. Probably free to play. Try and give people what they want. And then we'll see what goes from there. Hopefully it's successful. Hopefully people enjoy it. Because at the end of the day, it is a game that I do enjoy, and I do want other people to do so too. As always though, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Tullio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pieman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Alan Hacker, Ozzy Panzer, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Cam Arslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.